John Fedro here with mobilehomeinvesting.net. In this video, I want to take you through a mobile home and talk to you about the mobile home deal breakers that you're going to see, mobile home deal breakers that you may experience for your business. Now, right now, as we walk through this mobile home, we're not just looking at deal breakers. Right now, we're looking at big issues, small issues, weird issues, this weird piece of wood right here in this little tiny mouse house. You know, what's going on with that? That makes me kind of curious of, well, what other rodent problems are in this home? What other problems does the home have hidden, from the roof to the ceiling to the interior of the home and the floor and the subfloor, and then underneath the mobile home? We're going to get to that in just a moment. Right behind this weird piece of wood, though, you can see is the tub. And this is not too uncommon where somebody did a fix and they didn't put it back the way that it was. They didn't put the paneling back. They didn't put the drywall back. They just made this terrible little covering, not even like a hinged covering where you can re-get to it. But I did get inside of the tub. There is no cracks. It's very solid. And that's what we want to look for. How solid is this mobile home? What big issues are there? What small issues are there? I've made other videos. This is not going to be a complete inspection tour of the mobile home, but I do want to point out some issues that may or may not be deal breakers for some people. I did make sure to look that the windows are not broken, and they're not. Some of them in homes you may go through, they might be. That may be a deal breaker, that may not be. I did walk along the entire perimeter of the mobile home and jumped up and down as well as jumped up and down and walked on the middle parts of the floor. Just because it's not near the exterior of the home where water can come in from the lack of gutters or the gutters up there, or from the windows, water can seep and get down into the floor right here and deteriorate this wood. We want to go ahead and push on all of the walls, but we also want to go ahead and walk in between, in the middle part of the mobile home, because there can still be soft spots right here. There can still be water that gets here from the underside of the home or from the ceiling or from something else flooding the hot water tank, which is right back here, flooding, causing all of this to become soft. So we really want to know exactly what we're buying. And then even the carpet, how does this look? Can we keep it? Do we have to get rid of it? You can also take your shoes off and walk around the carpet, and that really helps to understand and notice all the imperfections. Watch your feet, because there may be tacks, there may be nails. You'll notice that the closets of the mobile home, it's not uncommon for the doors to be missing. I already walked and jumped up and down in the corner. There's a couple stains there, but I'm looking for water stains as well, or new paint to cover up old water stains. So make sure you get into all of the closets and look for, interesting things. There's a panel that covers the hot water heater. How old is that, or new is that? Look for the label on it to see if it's the original one or when it was replaced. Also, you can see and find the mobile home's data plate. This is a piece of paper telling all the pertinent information of the mobile home. Was built in 2000, 16 by 68, Millennium Edition. That's pretty cool. But this is the master bedroom, and this does not look bad. In my opinion, this whole home is like a 3 or 4 star out of a 5. It's really in decent shape. There's 200 amp service coming into the home. I already checked that. Oh, scared me. Already checked that out. The fan has seen better days. The carpet, all of this whole mobile home definitely is used. It has wear and tear, but things look good. The power is on in most spots. Some outlets don't work, which I've noticed. Some outlets don't work, or lights aren't even there. That vent fan does work, but it does not sound great. You do want to check underneath all the sinks and around the commodes and all of the wet areas. People that are selling mobile homes, they know how to doctor up their mobile homes to make it look like there's not an issue. We want to push on the walls of a mobile home. Now, the interior walls of a mobile home, they're not load-bearing walls. None of these interior walls. Only the exterior walls are load-bearing walls on a single wide mobile home. And if you ever notice that the doors don't fully close tight, or the windows, they're tough to get open and closed, it could be because underneath the home, one of the cinder block piers or pillars, that could be missing. And the home is, let's say that side corner back there is sinking down. Well, it's putting strain along this entire side of the mobile home, causing the doors to be out of plumb and tough to close. Also, the windows are out of plumb just a bit, and they could be tough to close as well, or tough to open. So it's important to know exactly what you're buying. Is it a deal breaker? Maybe, maybe not. Depending on the numbers, maybe absolutely not. The fridge, although you can't smell it, does not smell very good, but it probably is salvageable. Underneath the sink looks decent. The stove works okay. This looks like it's falling down a little bit. We want to have both eyes very much open whenever we're walking through a home, before you purchase a property, to know exactly what you're buying and what you're not buying. This does not seem to be turning on. It does have a central AC unit. Gonna have to figure out why that doesn't seem to be coming on. And here is the handler and the furnace for the central AC unit. The room right here, this is the second bedroom. It's good size. Although that fan, if you're taller, you could definitely hit your head there. But that's not a deal breaker by any stretch. Inside this closet, it does look like it might be soft here, but that's not the case. It's very, very firm. Again, in the corners, no issues of any sort of water stains. Now, this is a very nice mobile home. The mobile homes that you go through do not always look like this. The mobile homes I go through do not always look like this. Would we have to change the carpets here or do something to the walls? Maybe, maybe not. Depending on how we're selling this home, we may be able to keep it close to as-is condition. We want it safe, we want it livable, we want it clean, we want it to be a nice, safe home that somebody appreciates. Again, no leaks coming into the home. However, I do notice there's some mouse poop right here. I'm definitely going to wash my hands before I do anything, but that is definitely mouse poop. And with a little bit more looking, we see another mouse hole. So definitely going to have to get an exterminator here. Just like in the master bedroom, they went ahead and fixed the plumbing of the tub, but they did not put a covering right here. Now, what you could do is put just a door, like a piece of drywall, and just make a little hinged door so that you could still keep this here, but then you could just have it on a hinge so it's easily accessible. Now let's take a look at this bathroom, and this is something I want to show you in particular. The tub looks really good, and the tub is in decent shape, needs to be cleaned up, but nothing major to see here. The commode is in good working order. There's no soft spots around the commode. There's no soft spots in here. That feels very firm and solid. However, between the vent and the vanity here, there is I'm not sure if you can see it, I don't think you can, but there's a spring spot right here. I don't feel like I'm gonna fall through it, but right here it starts to lean down. There's like a curve here, and I don't feel like I'm gonna fall through, but the width of my feet, it's definitely a dip, and it's a bit springy, and I'm curious if we can go ahead and if we have to remove all of this and replace it. If we have to take off the linoleum flooring, take off the vent, take potentially out the vanity, cut out this piece of plywood, match it, put a new piece of plywood down, foam it, screw it, nail it, and go ahead and put the floor covering back on. Or, since this is in pretty decent shape, this floor covering, and we don't have to change it if we don't want to necessarily, can we go underneath the mobile home, brace up the floor, push up the floor so that it's flat and there's not this dip right here, and then put a couple pieces of 2x4 between these floor joists that run here, and put a couple pieces of 2x4 just to go ahead and brace up this, so that basically when anybody's walking across, it feels just as solid as everything else. So do we have to cut out and remove and replace this, or can we go underneath the home, push it up, and then brace it up from the bottom? Let's actually go underneath the home and find that out right now. So now we're underneath the mobile home, and my dog thinks that I'm the place to be standing. But I want to give you sort of a quick lesson underneath the mobile home. And I'm dressed in this white painter's outfit. You can pick it up for a couple bucks at Home Depot. Let's look underneath the mobile home. See the PVC pipes here. And then I'll try not to get it too bright. There is the PVC pipes, but right here, this big black tube right here goes up to the toilet. And then right there is the sink. You can see those two pipes going up for the hot and cold water of the sink. And right over here, right in front of the sink, I'm going to push my foot up to show you that this board right here flexes. Now this is OSB, which is known to puff up and is also known to warp. So evidently, there must have been water that was seeping through the floor. It rotted up the top of this floor joist right here, which you can see some wood rot right there.
And then over here you can see the evidence of water stains. It looks pretty clean on that one section, and then right above it it's brown, it's dark. So we're going to remove and replace that. And then this board right here, I was hoping we could just put something from here to here and then just kind of push this up. But no, we'll just go ahead and cut back and remove this. You can really see that the bottom of this mobile home, since we're down here, is in really good shape. You do have some insulation coming down. Here's the vapor barrier. Right here is the tongue of the mobile home. And you can see you can just bolt it right in. If we ever have to move this mobile home, we put the tongue in. But you have some anchors to the earth. That's where the mobile home sits. Actually, it sits on these concrete pillars. Let's look down the mobile home, actually. So we're looking down underneath. This has a big crawl space. Not that big, but you can clearly get in it. And it's clean. This is amazing compared to what you may see out in the field. There's no junk, there's no big animals. You do see one or two spots where the insulation is hanging down, but you can see every couple feet there are these cinder block pillars. They're sitting on these plastic pieces, which do help prevent from these cinder blocks sinking into the ground. Sometimes there's just one post of cinder blocks, like you see here, 1, 2, and 3 cinder blocks, and that's only supposed to go up about 2 feet high before you have this wood. Just the wood shims on top, which shouldn't be more than 2 inches in most places. Then if you do have this cinder blocks going higher than 2 feet, usually they'll put 2 rows of cinder blocks. So a cinder block here, a cinder block here, and then they'll have the first row going this way, the next row going that way, the row going that way. So kind of offset them perpendicular to each other. But underneath this home looks good. Something keeps touching my head. What is it? Oh, it's insulation. So this was pulled back. It was cut like this when I got here, so evidently somebody may have noticed this problem before, and they cut this insulation, they cut this fabric barrier, or the vapor barrier, and they didn't replace it.
Now let's continue talking about mobile home deal breakers that maybe aren't so common, not just talking about cosmetic issues, although since we're still inside of a mobile home, I think it's fitting that we're talking about, we continue to talk about some cosmetic issues, but there's a lot of other things that go on when it comes to mobile home investing. There's a lot of variables in any one given deal, and it's our job as mobile home investors to overcome these hurdles, to overcome these objections. But when it comes to deal breakers, what's that line? What's that absolute, foot down, you're not going to do it. I don't want to do it. This is, I've made a logical, educated decision. Or is it more of an emotional decision where I just don't want to do it? There's something about it. It's a gut feeling where this just isn't worth it. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. The profit isn't worth it. The risk isn't worth it. My time isn't, worth it. So let's talk about that. Let's notice that behind me, mobile home issues, mobile home problems, not just problems with the mobile homes, with the seller, with the owner, with the title, with the park, with the location, with the time of the year, with the area. It falls on a spectrum from not a big problem to quite a serious problem. And a deal breaker may be just one of these issues. It may be a number of these issues. Let's talk about these. I'm sorry that they're so small. Let's start over here where this is kind of a serious issue. The deal is skinny. There's not a lot of profit in the deal. That's usually a deal breaker. Now here's a red line for you. Imagine that this keeps going. But this red line represents your deal breaker line. All of these other properties still exist, but are you going to help them? Where is your deal breaker line? So for example, the deal is very skinny. That's a deal breaker for me. The roof is missing. That's an issue for me. The neighborhood is a nightmare. I don't like that. The manager doesn't allow me to sell on payments. That's okay. I may do that. That's like a it depends kind of situation. There's a lot of if-then scenarios, and we're going to talk about what goes into letting you choose deal breakers, because my deal breakers are going to be different than your deal breakers and are different from 10 other people's deal breakers. So I want to talk about what goes into making a deal breaker and how to evaluate that and to protect yourself and not sabotage yourself. We're going to talk about that in just a minute or two, but I want you to note that your deal breaker line is going to be different than somebody else's. So mine is right about here where the roof is missing, the neighborhood is a nightmare, but the park manager doesn't allow to sell on payments. All the electrical wires are missing. That's kind of a big deal. I'll move it down a little bit. There's chronic soft spots throughout the home. There's chronic leaks throughout the home. But again, what does it look like? What's the area? What's the location? What's the resale demand and price that I can sell this for? Is it going to be payments or cash? What other types of issues exist? Is it just that one issue?
or is it many, many issues? A medium-sized tree fell on the mobile home. Or a more serious issue maybe is that there's very small bedrooms. There is a 2-bedroom mobile home that you're looking at. One of the bedrooms, you can touch both ends of the wall, both walls on this bedroom with both hands, with your arms spread out. Meaning that in one of the bedrooms, you're only going to have a twin size mattress in there. And that's gonna, that's gonna kind of disappoint people. When they walk into it, they think there's a 2-bedroom, and then they see this small room and they get, they're upset. They're not pleasantly surprised. They're, a bit upset that, oh, this room isn't even usable. It's like an office or a baby's room. So if it's a 2-bedroom, now you just went down to a 1-bedroom. When you sell, again, that's just been experience taught me. Yes, it is technically a 2-bedroom, but when you sell it, you're going to have people that walk through it and everyone's going to complain that it's super small and unusable. If not everyone, there's some demographics that would consider that a bedroom or not give you as much pushback. And again, which area is it in? Who's going to be your buyer? So a very small bedroom, is that a deal breaker? Maybe. Is it a 1-bedroom home, 2-bedroom home, 3-bedroom home? What are you buying it for? What can you sell it for? Also, there's a functionally obsolete floor plan. Like you have to go through one of the bedrooms to get to the back bathroom. And, that's a weird floor plan. People that, or, like the only bathroom in the house, you have to go through one of the bedrooms, where again, that's kind of weird. And is that gonna be hard for you to sell? Is it gonna be hard for them to sell? What's the price you can get it for? Do you not make any offer? Do you make some offer knowing that, that will be an issue? Is it a deal breaker for you? Or will you still move forward somehow? The home has to be moved. That's not as big of an issue than like the roof missing, but it's still a sizable issue. And for me, moving double wides is not as attractive or fun as moving single wides. Whenever I've moved a double wide, it's only a matter of time before that double wide starts to split at the seam. It might take a few years, it might take months. To be fair, it might be the people that I've hired in the past. I know other people that I worked with, they move double wides and it's not an issue. So when I move a double wide, do I move it? Do I just broker it or wholesale it or sell it to another park or to a local dealership? Or do I just pass on it and say, you know what? It's a double wide, it has to be moved, done. Not worth my mental energy. I'm looking over here. And so is that sabotaging my business a little bit? I want to pose that question in just a moment, but let's keep going with, where your deal breakers are. The park's qualifications are extremely strict. The home has been gutted. Maybe you just want to purchase nicer, prettier mobile homes that don't need a lot of work, and that's okay. If that's what you want to do, then you're passing on these mobile homes that have these issues, but you're able to purchase still quite a few other mobile homes as well. Let's keep sliding this down. It's in an age-restricted area, meaning it's a senior park or it's a 40-plus park. You have to be 40 years or older to live there. No minors, nobody under 40. The mobile home is being evicted from the mobile home park. By the way, the size of these fonts doesn't really mean anything. So, some are bigger than the other. The hot water heater is missing. There's multiple old stains on the ceiling. Is that an issue for you? Or it's a 2-bedroom mobile home. You only want to purchase 3-bedroom maybe. So that would be a deal breaker. Also, property taxes are past due. Not a big issue. Or some skirting is missing. Not a big issue for most people. If that's a deal breaker for you, then we'll talk about that in just a minute. But we get to less and less issues over here. No gutters, appliances are needed, the home needs to be pressure washed, very kind of common things. So I want to make a mention that depending on where your deal breaker is, you're going to have more or less access to different mobile homes. And what causes you to have deal breakers, or some deal breakers for some people are going to be different than other people, things that make your red line move as to where your deal breaker line is going to be your experience. And I say this a few different ways on this. I realized it after because it's so important. Your experience, your past experience, and your lack of knowledge, which either the lack of knowledge can come from learning from other people or learning from the school of hard knocks on your own or trial and error. But experience goes a long way in this to say, do you know how to handle a lot of these issues? How experienced are you? Are you brand new and a lot of things scare you? You don't want to tackle a lot of this on your first few deals, nor should you. Should you set the bar high on your first couple mobile home deals? Absolutely. Are there things to watch out for and look for and be careful of? Absolutely. Not just with the mobile home structure itself, but with a lot of other things that go on with the mobile homes that we've been talking about on this video, with the location and the age and the size and the demand and the park and the if the home has to be moved and the zoning, and the list goes on. So your experiences do mean a lot, and the experiences of others. Also the available money that you have. Maybe you think, well, I don't have enough money and therefore I can't get the money and I don't want to try, or I've tried and I've resolved to sign a sort of giving up, like I'll only purchase homes that are this price, or you don't know how to set up seller held financing with sellers, or your goals. Depending on your goals, you may not want to do some of these mobile homes or some of these situations. Also the age that you are, although anybody at an age can do most likely almost anything, the age that you are can contribute to which deals you want to focus in on, which ones you don't. Also your locations. In some locations you would easily take some of these issues, in other locations you wouldn't, because the resale demand or value or the amount that you can sell for isn't high enough to justify some of these issues. Also how busy you are. Are you very busy, or are you not doing hardly anything and you want to the first deal that comes along, you're like, oh, I got to do it, I got to take it, which isn't a good mindset to have. The free time you have, that contributes. Also your team in place. Do you have a mover in place? Do you have an attorney in place? Do you have a handy person in place? Or are you kind of doing all this at like the last minute when you get this potential deal lined up, and you're like, oh crap, now I have to put everything into gear, and now it's overwhelming and I don't know what to do and I'm frustrated and confused. The confidence that you have, confidence can get you a long way, but also confidence can get you in trouble as well. As I'm rolling this back up, I sort of want to pose a question for you, and that question is normally in these videos I have a sort of a wrap-up session where I try to teach a lesson, but in this video I want to pose the question of, how do you know that a deal breaker is in fact a deal breaker? Do you have to just learn it one time? Do you have to get burned by putting your hand on the stove just once to say, okay, I'm never doing that again? Or do you do it another time? Or do you try to attack it from a different angle? Or do you try to, every deal that we do, I think it's important after the transaction, both buying it and selling it, to sit down and look to say, what do I want to repeat on that? What do I not want to do? What can I improve upon? And so the question I have is, what deal breakers do you have in your business when you're buying a home, when you're selling a home? And then are those movable at all? Are they deal breakers just now, but in the future they may not be deal breakers? Maybe when you have more of a team in place, or you have more money, or you have more time, or your goals change. So I guess that's sort of the question, is sort of, what are your deal breakers? And then are they going to be forever deal breakers? Or do you see that, no, over time, these may shift and evolve? I hope that helped. I hope that made sense. This video is just as much to help me as it is to help you at this point. If you have any questions or concerns of any kind, mobile home related, feel free to reach out at support@mobilehomeinvesting.net. That's support@mobilehomeinvesting.net. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
I'm putting back this skirting right now, and I just want to give you a quick little lesson on what you're going to look at in skirting. This one hasn't seen better days. It's in very used condition, just like the entire rest of the mobile home. You can tell that it has these cuts in it from damages from the weed whacker, most likely over the years. It slides into place. Let's close this. You can see each one of these is different sections. That's a section, that's a section, and it comes in these long sections, and you cut them to the height that you need, and you place them interlocking one on next to another. This is called the top channel right here, the J channel, and then this is the front cover right here. Let's go actually put this back. This top piece up here is called a J channel, and that's where the skirting goes up into. This top front piece is called the top front. It has a couple different names depending on the location or the area that you're in around the country. But this top part is to just make it look a little bit nicer, and so that you don't have to see any. You have the skirting piece, which is not sitting in the correct bottom track. This is the bottom track where the skirting should be sitting into this piece right here. And then this part right here is nailed with big nails into the ground, but that's going the entire length of the mobile home. And in most of the spots you can see right here that the hello little spider. And but again, here it's not exactly sitting in the correct way. This bottom piece right here where this, oh cool, look at all this nature. Nice snail. Whoa, his eye's touching me. This part right here is called the V-guard, and it's optional. The skirting typically is not optional. This front part is not optional. The J channel is not optional. And then this V-guard does the same thing as this panel up here. It makes it look nice, and it protects it from the lawnmower, from weed whackers, which it did. If this piece wasn't here, this V-guard, it would have made even more damages. Now, it may be tough to tell, but that skirting is bowing a little bit. And the fact that it's not able to easily get into this bottom track, if you ever see skirting that's bowing, originally when somebody puts in the skirting, it'll be nice and flush and flat. But if you do see it bowing outward or inward, that could mean that this part of the mobile home is sinking into the ground by that much. So it's not bowing a lot, which makes me think that it is just sinking like we saw. That plastic piece was just sinking in the ground just a little bit.